Podcast. This is a panel style podcast, so I'm so excited that I have these lovely women. They're all involved in concentrates in the cannabis community. A couple of them are educators, and we have an extractor. Does anyone know the history of 710 or when 710 Day started?
I believe it came out of Colorado, and I don't remember what year, but I remember the legend goes that, somebody just, put two and two together, that oil upside down is 710.
Right, that's what I've heard too.
Yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, it's known as like a second 420, very hash focused, concentrate focused, oil, distillate, everything. So we're gonna cover all that under the sun. This episode is brought to you by Respect My Region, RMR Legacy Smalls, at our new Instagram, respectmyregion.usa. I think that's it. No, it's .365. That's what it is. And there's .420. So there's a few. But anyways, another exciting announcement is that they're going to have another party for Hall of Flowers time. So check that out. Stay tuned. We're excited to see everybody again. Last year was lit. So yeah, I want to have you guys all go around and introduce yourself, brief bio, brief what you're known for. Danny, I'll start with you. You are Dabbing for Wellness on Instagram. So why is that? Like, what do you do in our cannabis industry?
Well, so I got my start on the legal side working for Harborside. I worked for Harborside Health Center since 2008 to 2019. When I first started Harborside, I was recently diagnosed with a lot of like chronic pain, fibromyalgia. Later, I found out it's actually Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So for me, concentrates actually changed my life in the fact that I got off all my prescription medication and steroid injections, and concentrates really changed my life when I was working at Harborside, and I was lucky to work at a place where I had access to amazing concentrates. Now I do a lot in like the bulk wholesale. I do a lot of seeds as well as just licensed bulk. So that's what I do on my day-to-day now, as well as I put on the International Cannabis Awards in Spain every year. And so, yeah, that's been kind of my at least professional journey. But for me, concentrates have really been everything. And because concentrates really changed my whole life on the way I was dealing with my health issues, I started speaking at Women Grow and being a more advocate and kind of being like, hey, like, this is my medicine and do not judge me for walking around with my torch at all the events. And finally, they approached me to start talking about concentrates and cannabinoids and terpenes. And so, yeah, that's kind of where my dabbing for wellness really came, is because for me, it changed my life and I'm no longer walking with a cane and I'm able to live a normal lifestyle. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
I love that. Oh my God, I love that.
So that's like a lot of people don't know like the real story about my concentrate usage, just really because of my chronic pain. So, and I owe it to being able to have access, is a really important thing. So.
Nice. So yeah, you're a buyer for a delivery service. I think that's how I first got familiar with you, because I was
I owned a delivery after after Harborside. I opened up a women's run and managed delivery with Adrian Jones and Infinity Ford as well, and we did that for about 2 to 3 years. The market's hard, the industry's rough, and so unfortunately we had to close doors in 2021, and I've been just mainly focusing on the seeds and genetics and wholesale side.
So then when I was watching NatGeo, National Geographic, and you're on there, I was like, wait, what? Oh my gosh.
That was my farming days. I've done so much. It's like kind of hard to say. You kind of go over everything quickly, right? I feel like Elise and we've been on this journey for a bit together too. And so I've done everything from retail, cultivation, manufacturing, distribution. I've kind of done everything in the industry and been lucky enough to have kind of a front seat at it.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Elise, your turn. Introduce yourself. Right. Why are you the Hashinista?
Can you guys hear me okay? Because my sound is robot.
I hear you. I hear
Okay,
you.
cool.
Why are you the Hashinista?
All right. Well, the Hashinista is a brand and company that I launched right around, I think, 2021, after I'd been calling myself that for probably a year. But my cannabis journey started well before that. But for the Hashinista side, I was at the time the CMO for Doc Greens, which was a legacy brand out of Berkeley. And we were a solventless brand. And I joined them and really led the entire rebrand and all of the marketing, communication, sales strategy, basically everything to take them from an idea to launch and market. And then, eventually to over 100 stores around the state and Emerald Cup winners in the first solventless vape category. And we also placed in the Emerald Cup in solventless concentrates. And the sad thing about that was by the time they placed, they were already a company no longer operating. But when we were operating and, just everything that it requires to launch a brand, right? Just kind of eat, sleep, live, and breathe the brand. And I was trying, as marketing director and communications chief of a solventless brand, it's my job to be able to communicate to not just the buyers, but the consumers, and really take, what the guys are doing in the lab and make that information accessible. And so at the time, there wasn't even a lot of knowledge out there about solventless concentrates. So one of the first articles I read was by the Dink Dutches. I remember the only brands at the time that were out were 710 Labs and Frosty and maybe Papa Select. So I just remember I felt like hash ruled everything around me, and I have a fashion background and I love fashion, and the joke was always, God, if I could just sell more hash, I could buy more fashion, right? And so that's how I was, I began calling myself the Hashinistas. Kind of the two things I was most focused on or loved the most were cannabis and fashion, and then obviously the hash solventless niche of the cannabis segment. And it's grown into a lifestyle brand that is really about promoting cannabis and, of course, the concentrate side, but really a love of cannabis in all forms, and also, a love of fashion and even psychedelics, and just about this holistic approach about whatever we put in our body or on our body. We want it to be clean, we want it to be high quality, and ideally from producers who have values and also things that were produced in a sustainable way. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. But yeah. Thanks.
For sure. I first saw you at Hall of Flowers, Palm Springs, and you had this pop-in two-piece set wearing. So you definitely embody the Hashinista, and you always have the top-notch cannabis.
Yeah, I got my Ross Boss on here.
Okay.
Always rocking. Oh, sorry. One last thing I do got to say about that, the Hashinista mission. I definitely have always used fashion as a way to wear and be loud and proud about my love for the plant, and in an effort to normalize and destigmatize, and sorry for all the puns, but spark the conversation. And that's why I wear almost the same necklace and cannabis jewelry every day, or I try to always have a leaf or something on me that represents cannabis. So then I go out in the world and I could be at Whole Foods or somewhere, and someone will go, I like your necklace. And it's this instant like, oh, hey, we're tribe. And it's just a really great opening or, connection piece. And then also, showing people that whatever they think a stoner looks like, I don't know if I look like a stoner today, but I'm a huge stoner. But, just again, the other side about like what we plant lovers, how diverse we are, and, how many different looks we can embody, and using that as a power.
Beautiful. I see that too. I love to wear my weed leaves all the time too. And I'm loving how fashion has come into cannabis as well. Like you got Edie Parker coming in. I remember Kush Queen did a collab with Alice and Olivia. You have Fluffy from Juicy Couture with Potent Good. So I'm loving it.
Jonathan Adler, I've been loving his new stuff too. I don't know if you've been seeing the house stuff that he's been coming up with.
Yep, the jars.
Yes, I own it all. Obsessed.
Emily, your turn.
Yeah. So, I've only ever worked in a lab. I've never had any other job in this industry. That's literally the only thing I've ever done. I have only ever, I've made every concentrate that there is: sugar, shatter, batter, live resin, live rosin, distillate. I've done all of that I've only ever worked with white labeling labs. So for the last like 4 or 5 years, I've worked for Final Bell. So I've never worked for an actual brand. I always I've seen concentrates I've made win awards, but not for me. You know what I mean? Because I've only ever white labeled. So I've only ever made concentrates in bulk for other brands. But I am actually starting a gig with Rosin Tech here in the next week and a half to go back into hash making. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's literally been it. My whole journey kind of started. I was a behavioral therapist before I ever got into this industry. And then from there, I started working with veterans on how to get them off of the copious amount of drugs that we give to our veterans. And a lot of them were trying to look into cannabis. So that's kind of how I started in this industry, through meeting a lot of them and then working with different companies, getting into that. And then I just loved it. So I kind of reached this age where I was like, well, what do I love so much I spend my money on? And it turned out it was weed. So I was like, how can I get more into that side? And so I kind of teamed up with some people in a lab, and I've been doing it since. It sounds a lot more glamorous on paper than I think people realize it actually is. It's messy and stinky and sticky and dirty, but I love it. I love I love everything about it. I love our industry, man. Especially like I said, for the first several years, I just recently started reaching out to people in this industry. I used to work with a lot of trappers. So it was very much like, don't ever talk about it. Don't let anybody know what you're doing. Nothing. And then I started working with legal brands, and I was like, oh shit, this is great. So now I get to kind of open up and meet a lot of people in this industry. It's been really fantastic. I've met a lot more women. I've never actually worked with any other women in this industry, but I've gone to a lot of events and I've been able to actually meet a lot of women, and that's been, I'm just gonna excuse the language, but fucking mind blowing. It's amazing. It's like a dream come true. So that's really been it, and I'm just kind of riding this wave and seeing where it goes. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah. Well, we need passionate people like yourself in our industry, because that love will transmit and go through the product, and it's the person that's consuming it at the end. So that's awesome. I was really happy to have the Women's Can Awards, and I'm glad that you went, and so the universe brought us all together and opened you up to more women to meet. And yeah, I'm just so excited to be right now. And just one thing, I'm glad that you're joining Rosin Tech, because last year around Women's Month, my friend who worked there put on a really amazing Women's Day, and they invited a bunch of women from the industry and gave them a tour of the facility and the way hash making and rosin was all made, and we all got to hold the slab and see and smell all the amazing products and have a nice little luncheon. So those special moments, us women who are in the industry, need to keep those things alive. So just letting you know.
Absolutely, that's so awesome.
Danny, I saw that you had a dab bar at your wedding.
Yes. My husband and I actually said I do a dab on the beach in Monterey, and then I had everyone had a pre-roll or a cartridge, and so they were able to smoke with us, which was awesome. And then I had a dab bar, and this was right before legalization had happened, but it wasn't in effect. So it was 2017. So I had so many hash brands donate hash to my wedding, so that I was able to have a beautiful dab bar. So shout out to Beazle and to Gold Drop and to Utopia and to all the brands back in the 215 days that really helped support my wedding. But it was awesome. I had medicated cotton candy being spun, which was awesome. It was rose and lavender, and I was just lucky enough that I found a nice venue that would let me host a whole cannabis sector. And luckily I found out that in the regulations, as long as you're able to smoke cigarettes in a private party or a private area or event space, that cannabis was fine. And so I showed them that, and they were all on board with it. So yeah, I had a really awesome dabbing wedding, and my husband and I said I do a dab.
That's so beautiful, and I saw that it was featured online. That's how I found out.
Yeah, Forbes, The Independent, you know, at the time I was working for Steve D'Angelo. So we had a lot of media behind us. And so when they found out that I was getting married and having a cannabis wedding, it's like all the media kind of shifted over. So I had like Cosmo, I had Forbes, Independent, and Complex all cover it pretty widely. So it was pretty fun.
That's freaking dope.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel lucky enough to be, you know, where I was in the industry at the time gave me like access to just so much that I wanted to show people you could have like a classy cannabis wedding. Because some of the ones that you saw online were like kind of cheesy, you know what I mean? Like before, this was like, you know, this was like 6 years ago plus, gosh, maybe longer. But yeah, so I like really wanted to just have like a classy wedding, but really add cannabis as my main focal point. So I had like buds in all of my flower arrangements, my bouquets, all the guys had like buttoneers and stuff. It was fun.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, Elise keeps getting toggled on and off for some reason. Sorry, with these panel styles, the connections can all get a little wonky, so please bear with me while we fix this. I know.
I think I'm back.
Yeah. Oh no.
Okay, is everybody here? Are we good? I just was gonna jump into.
Oh,
Nope.
Shoot. Well, that's a great segue into funny stories in the early days of dabbing, I guess. Okay, I'm not going to touch
who
it.
goes first?
So anyways, I have a funny story. I have a circular burn mark on my wrist from an open domeless nail. I was already high. I'd already had a bunch of dabs, and then I go to reach for a drink, and then it was over it, and oops, I got a little too close and sizzled my skin. So does anybody else have any dab battle wounds? Or
I mean, I've done that a couple times, I feel like, but I feel like my tats have covered some of them up. But I definitely been there. I've dabbed or I've crossed over, forgot that you touched, or you would like, yeah, the worst too is like when you heat up your torch and then you accidentally like skim your torch with your hand as you're like, yeah, that's the worst too. But I feel like it's part of the course, right? Like, I mean, I guess that's why Puffco, you don't have to use your torch. Thank God, you know. Less burns.
how about you, Emily?
I've actually been fortunate. I mean, I've totally burned myself, but never bad enough to where I'm like scarred for life. But I've 100% burned myself. Absolutely, I've burned holes in my couch. I've done all kinds of stupid shit. I've dropped melted dabs on stuff, and then that's forever sticky. Like, there's no getting that up, and that's just a permanent fixture now. You know what I mean?
If you steam clean it, my husband details cars, and so I get yelled at all the time for having hash like everywhere. Steam cleaning it. Hot steam will actually help melt and get rid of the hash, and it won't ruin your like car or your fabric or whatever it's at. So just FYI, use a steamer.
That is a big brain idea, and I'm gonna literally try that this afternoon. Thank you.
Yeah, I get yelled a lot at. He's always like, "Why is there so much hash everywhere?" I'm like, "Sorry, can't help it. I dab all the time while I'm driving."
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? Why is there so much hash everywhere? What a silly question to ask me.
Right?
Yeah, I definitely have burned myself many a times. And it's always embarrassing too, because it'll be like if someone's, serving me up a dab, and then it's like I take the dab and I'm like so lit instantly that I forget that like the banger's hot or something, and then I just feel like such a noob when I'm like, I'm the Hashinista, how can I burn myself on a rig? So that's always funny. But literally one of my favorite OG dab stories is that I'll never forget. And I think it was when I was still new to dabbing, and I was a judge for the High Times Cannabis Cups before I was an Emerald Cup judge. And you'd go pick up your kits, at whatever dispensary in LA. I remember this was in LA. I'm picking up my High Times judging kit. I was judging edibles. And Sean, who ran the contest at the time, was dabbing. And, of course, all the judges are hanging out. And he's like, "You want to dab?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And I take this dab that was definitely like a hot dab. And it was just, I'll never forget, you get that feeling, like I instantly started like sweating. I was like so hot. I had to sit down. I thought I was going to faint, I was just like so freaking high. And also another time where I was just kind of embarrassed too, because I'm around my fellow judges. But again, this was at a time like before low temp dabs, and there weren't even temp techs to like read the temperature on a rig then, you know what I'm saying? And I will never forget that like getting, served a dab like that and being so kind of blasted and floored and having to sit down. And that's a huge part of why, when I do education or events, I definitely think it's very important to, serve low temp micro dabs to the new consumers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, kind of like you got to take a hot dab once or twice to kind of know what you want to avoid.
Right.
Very true.
I
don't know, like, if you guys remember that. Do you remember the skillet and bell? That was like the first time I ever took a dab. It was with a skillet and bell. And yeah, I immediately burned myself on that thing, like right away, like without, I was like, okay, immediately, right away.
I had one of those bad boys.
Oh God.
Ugh.
Those were the
Then
days,
it was the titanium nail that right after. So I remember going to Colorado and meeting Danielle de La Salle's, and this was, gosh, I want to say 2009, 2010. Like this is like a long time, and being turned on to the titanium nail with like the bird cage over it. And I feel like that was when I like upgraded the swing. I still have it. I have like a hash museum of like old relic devices that I've used throughout the years. I still have my like hot wands from taking like knife hits too before the swing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the days, yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, no, I remember, the first time I ever took a dab, then I was like, immediately got those sweats. It was one of those situations. It was like in the dispensary when you used to be able to take a dab and then they'd be like, "All right, have a good day."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, I remember immediately, like, we were smoking, and it was it was still in the days between the transition between the nail and like glass dome and and so like, and I was like, man, if anybody walked in here and didn't know what we were doing, I was like, this looks sketchy. But I remember I got so high, I like struggled to go down the stairs to just get out the door. And those were I don't think I've gotten high like that from smoking since, if I'm being honest.
I know.
I feel like I get regular. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Exactly. Balanced.
Yeah.
Right. I feel you on that one. I miss those days.
The first time I smoked with oil was super brown. We were just putting it on weed on our bong, and then yes, I was around friends that made it and maybe had made mistakes, and maybe flames were involved. So that's not funny, but it happened. And so trial and error. Now we know, don't be around electricity when you're extracting VHO.
Oh no, it froze.
Oh, sorry. Hopefully it'll.
Yeah, when that first came out, I'm originally from Chicago, and I had a boyfriend at the time who, was in the industry, if you will, traditional legacy, who,
Oh no.
we had a lot of great Humboldt flower coming through our house, and thus we got to dab early on. And
I cannot hear anyone anymore. What happened?
This is like, I was like, this is like crack. Get this out of our house. Like, I was like anti-dabber when I first saw it. Can you imagine me? Like, what is this? No, we can't have this. How far I've come.
Man.
But that was like, I think knife hit days. I forgot how we were even trying to do the oil. But I remember my initial reaction was no. And now I'm all like, yes.
Yeah. I think high school was my first. We were taking full melt. And we were doing like hot knife hits off the stove, and taking like water bottle caps, and those were the days, because that's when I remember actually like really getting high. I feel like now it gets to like my medical issues, and I just feel good.
we were probably getting more high back then also off all the other, things in the concentrates, right? It wasn't as clean, right? Things weren't
Well,
lab tested.
I was smoking like full melt. I was in the Bay Area. Luckily, I feel spoiled, you know what I mean? Like being born in Oakland and stuff, that I had access to really good product at a young age.
That's why you're the G, Danny.
Okay, yeah.
It's been 17 years.
We're here now. People have to make the same beginner mistake, like go through what we went through. So what would you tell a person who's starting dabbing now how to start?
Do you want to go ahead, Lisa, or do you want?
I was gonna say, who wants to go first? I guess I kind of touched on it earlier. I was saying, when I've served so many people their first dab, which I take as such an honor, and I literally love doing that. And young people, old people, like seniors, I'm all over the board. And when I'm, giving someone their first experience, I just look out to give them a very small dab. I tell people, it's almost like edibles, low and slow, but low temp, small dab. And I think that's the best way to start. And also, I'm always reminding people that you don't have to hold it in, okay? Inhale and exhale. You don't, the old school way of, because a lot of my elder friends, even when they smoke pot, they're like holding it in. I'm like, don't hold it in. That's just cutting off oxygen to your brain. You can inhale it and exhale it and still get all the good benefits. So I think those are my simple first timer, tips.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I feel like the same. I've been giving a lot of people their first dabs, and I hear a lot of times people, they have these really bad experience where they went to a cup and they were given this like huge glob of a dab, and it was too hot of a temperature for them, and they just had an awful experience, and so they never tried dabbing again. And then I really want to make them feel, yep, you're back. Comfortable again.
Sorry.
So I just start them off with like another small hit, and have them take that instead of having this massive glob of whatever they didn't even know what they were dabbing at the time. Because I think I hear more horror stories of people's first times of just being over globbed at like some type of cup, and that was how they experienced their first dab. So I always try to make it a good experience, because I love when people come up to me and they go, Danny, I stopped smoking flower for the moment, or they took a break from flower and they're dabbing now, or they're not, they're no longer using the product that they were. They're mainly now focusing on concentrates. And so I love hearing that, and I love having that experience with someone.
For real.
Yeah.
So special.
Oh no, it keeps kicking me out.
It's just going through the gauntlet. We're all taking a turn being Danny, you're next. Watch out. I can smoke on here, right? Can I smoke a joint? Is that allowed on 7?
Oh, I've been smoking. So
Yeah, no, I've been taking my dabs too. So
you guys, sad story. I can't believe I'm going to say this live on the air. I don't have any hash in my house right now. Like, I could not take a dab if I wanted to.
What?
Yeah. Luckily, I'm going to fix
if I were closer to you, I'd come dab you out. Hey, come up to Auburn.
Yeah. It's just wild. I've been out. I'm going to get it more today. I'm going to re-up.
Yeah.
It's gonna be all good. But I got hash in my joint, and I do have a rosin vape, but,
not the same. I feel it. It's okay. Yeah.
Not the same. And also,
Well,
the Virgin Hotel in Las Vegas legit stole my Puffco out of my luggage. Like, stole it.
Wait, what?
I haven't had a Puffco since I was in Vegas. Yeah, and I have to escalate the issue with Virgin Hotels. But apparently, if you're in a gaming property, it's not even about consumption on site. You're not even allowed to have any type of hardware or a pack of gummies in your purse or on your person.
Yeah, they have all these signs in Vegas. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I was livid.
I'm sure. I'm sorry. That's horrible.
yeah.
If anyone wants to send me a rig, I need one.
Oh.
Man,
I'm sorry.
Wild.
I've never had a piece, knock on wood, like even when I got kicked out of La Sagada. So I made the mistake last year in Spain to go from Ego Clash into La Sagada Familia. I was like, I'm going to go do some touristy stuff with all my hash, my Puffco in my bag. Oh my God, I went through security and they freaked freaked out. But I heard stories of everyone's pieces being broken or taken away and confiscated from them. Luckily, they just opened up my, like, I had some Frosty. And they opened it up and they smelt it and she's like, marijuana, and like made a huge scene. And the like police came and they at least gave me my puff coat and all my hash back. And they didn't take it or break it, but yeah, no, I was worried that I was gonna have glass broken in Spain because they're yeah, and my just, you know, dumb American didn't think of like, okay, it's gray area, you know what I mean? Like I'm so used to being in the Bay Area and California and just being able to carry it everywhere, and then going to Spain, it's not as open. So I made that mistake and learned a lesson. But luckily I got my piece back. I was really afraid.
I was gonna say your Hashi angels had your back that day, Danny.
Yeah, right. Especially because I had my
Yeah,
custom
watch it.
piece too, so it wasn't like I had just some cheap glass with me, you know.
That's what I was gonna say. At least it was like a basic puff coat, and I didn't have like some custom glass piece on
Right.
there, because if that was the thing, like I'd be suing them probably, you know.
Right.
Instead, I just wrote a really bad Google review.
Did you call? We'll talk later. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
good at these kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry for the sidebar.
No, you're good. I keep
I'm like, I can help you with that.
getting muted, so I'm like, am I on mute or not?
I can hear you.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
It's a little shaky,
but I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, so I just wanted to go real quick while you can hear me. Who are your favorite hash icons?
Oh.
Danny, you go first.
Yeah.
Unless I got mine ready to go.
You guys ready? I mean, I could go on. Like, there's a list of people, but go. You can go start first.
I mean, Frenchie and Mila are top of mind because, I mean, I had the pleasure and honor and blessing of actually knowing Frenchie, and, you know, I feel like I learned a lot from him, and just what he did, not just for hash, but even for small farmers. Like, his legacy, and I mean, I also had the very high privilege of actually producing his very small memorial after he'd passed for Madame Cannoli, and it was really there when hearing the speakers and how they spoke about him that I just had even more love for him, and what he's done for the plant and for hash and for farmers, and even our beloved Emerald Triangle here. Like Frenchie, right, felt like really put that on the map, and so he's an icon and legend that I really look up to. And then Mila, on the flip, you know, or in the same way, being just a true legend and trailblazer. And like back to, like I was saying, my Doc Green days when I was researching hash and trying to learn as much as I can, when I learned about Mila and her legacy, and I was like, wait, what? There's this badass woman like in the 60s or 70s, like, you know, created the washing machine technique, and like how like much she like had to have put herself at risk, you know, at a time like where it was so prohibited, and just, yeah, everything she did as a true hash maker. I ended up being a woman at the time. Like, we're lucky now we've got a few women here in this conversation, but I just imagine in Mila's day, how many women were doing what she was doing, and just what a freaking badass. And also another woman I've had the pleasure to meet and know and interact with, and she's still doing it. Like, she's throwing dabadoo, and she's all, you know, flying around the world and educating and sharing the knowledge and the love. And I just, I bought her book, and those are the two that are top of my mind for sure.
I would echo those, definitely. And then even some modern, our new, like now, you know, the ladies we have now too, like Alice and Jess over Frosty, Bianca over at Gas House. I mean, we've got some amazing washers too that are really coming up. I feel like on the female side, and specifically more or less on the international side, I see amazing hash being like amazing hash. So I really give it out to the women that are leading the way on the international standpoint for that too. I mean, there's a lot of amazing men hash makers. I mean, like, we could all go through the list, right, of people that we smoke on a daily or that we, you know, sought after, but I feel like those are the ones you know, that really they deserve that place. They're the icons, right? Yeah. That Bubble Man too. Bubble Man, I want to give love to because he's up there as well as someone, you know, a lot of respect too for what him and Mila and Frenchie all have done for the hash game.
And Danny is funny because the names you said were like the exact ones I was going to call out too. So again, I just think that shows like what true icons they are in the making. And I mentioned the Dank Duchess earlier, so I want to shout her out.
Of course,
well.
Duchess as well.
And like, yeah, that's and Danny, you were talking about Spain, and we've been out there at the same time, and just like, isn't it great how many women are, all come together in Spain, and a lot of those women, are either hash makers or hash lovers. Like it's like you're saying, like there's the international hash tribe is really strong with the women, and it's beautiful to see.
I know.
And I gotta shout out Belle over at Heritage, right?
Yep.
Actual apprentice. And she's doing great things at Heritage Hash Co. Leading that team, and they have other women on the team, and I just love that this legacy, or more and more women can come in and wash. I personally never washed or tried to make hash. It's not my thing. I'm not a good grower either.
Yeah, I did BHO. I blasted a couple times.
Nice.
And I've done some full. I feel like I'm one of those people that I have to do like everything, or at least learn how to do everything, so that I can I think it's the Aquarius in me. I don't know what it is. So like, and when I grow, I would always try to make hash, or I'd make my edibles, or do whatever. And I'd like go to my friends, learn this back in the day. Obviously this is open blasting. I shouldn't have been doing out in the middle of the hills, but learned how to do, make some whip batter. From a couple of my runs, and that was many years ago. I feel like when I started working in the legal side, that all kind of, because I worked for retail, it's like my life got dedicated to Harborside and to Steve D'Angelo. So I feel like for 12 years that was my life of the industry. But prior to that, I did a lot on the 215. Growing up in Oakland in the Bay Area, I feel like I had access to, like I was lucky enough to have a lot of cannabis work, like I was either trimming, or I was like packaging edibles for Tate back in the day, like these, God, it's like, I just can't believe how many years it's been.
Have you started growing for yourself again since you moved? Do you do a home grow, like just a fun personal?
I did in Oakland. Before I left Oakland, I did a little home grow, because I get so many seeds and genetics on the road, and then working for Blimburn, that I was like, I got to pop some seeds this year. But I just moved to Auburn, and this year I just have, it's so hot right now. It's 110 degrees.
I heard the ladies like that though.
They do. However, I have like I have cherries and I have fruits. I'm going vegetables right now. So I've instead of weed this year, I've got pomegranates, cherries, blueberries, squash, and all that fun stuff. So I have to grow something. I miss being at a farm though. I miss being around cannabis like on a daily. That's the one thing I do miss.
That's what I was going to say. Like, even though it wasn't. Everyone's back. Okay.
I think we're all good now. I think my computer got a little too high. So sorry about that. But I want to just circle back to concentrates. What's everyone's favorite type?
I would say cold cure, or a really good like full melt for me, like a really nice water hash. But if I'm gonna go with rosin, cold cure is gonna be my favorite, just because of transport, taste, and everything. I do love a fresh press, but storage and making sure that it stays that way can be a little bit harder if you don't have a cooler or ice box with you, or a little cool, fridge.
I'm cold cure, live rosin all the way. Do not give me a fresh press. I will give it back to you. And I'd love me some, 6-star water hash, all that. But and I've had the pleasure of judging that category for the Emerald Cup for 2 years, or all the solventless. But honestly, even in the end, like, don't take my name away from me, but I just love a nice rosin dab over the hash. I don't know, because I can never get the hash just perfect, I feel like. Or I don't know.
You got to have all the devices, everything, timers,
lag it out, or so if you want to, I learned a lot.
But I feel like the high is so much better and stronger sometimes when I switch it up between like cold cure, rosin, and like a nice 6-star.
Yeah.
No,
you're right.
All right, you guys are gonna hate me. I'm a live resin girl. BHO.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Oh, that's good.
Really?
I'm so glad
I judge BHO from World Cup too.
It's my favorite to make. It's always been my favorite to make. And I just, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I find that a lot of hash makers, I don't know. You can taste like, I can taste if your weed has been grown with some bullshit in it. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
of all of the pesticides that we test for, there's still a list of 500 and something that are legal to use in California without a problem that we're not testing for. And so I find that when I have a lot of hash makers, unless they're growing their own material and you can actually see how it's being grown, it's really hard for me to believe you. I mean, God, that sounds so mean, but it's like, I don't know, man. And even then, like, I don't know, sometimes you'll get like some rosin that's like really heavy in the like fats and lipids. And I'm just not a fan, dude. Yeah, I'm a live resin girl all the way. And
You get
everybody
different
hates
terpene
it.
profiles too. I mean, I do
Yeah.
like a good BHO, like it has to be a good, but you get different terps, and there's a lot of things that are not washable that you can blast, you know what I mean? And you can get that great terpene profile, but you're not going to find it in a rosin or in a full melt just because the yield of washing it is not the same. So,
Exactly.
and so you don't see it as often. And so I do like a good BHO, but it's just hard. I feel like I miss the days when there were some really good BHO brands on the market.
Dude, the way the market is now, there's not a lot
It's
of good
there's
BHO.
not, and I
I'm
mean,
just
I hate to
gonna
say
be
it, even
real.
with a lot of the licensed stuff in general. I don't think I hate. I'm like gonna say this, but I haven't gone into a shop since I closed my delivery in 2001. You know what I mean? Like I prefer to buy it from the grower hash maker because of what you're saying. For that reason, so I like small batch straight from farmer to washer. Better. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love it all. I do love a good BHO. I used to love butter. That was just the crumble consistency. That was my favorite. But of course now it's like I'll always get a rosin or try to get it or like have my homie press some. So yeah. But going into products, you guys are just talking about you not going into shops. Like that's just the state of the market. But what are you smoking on? Like what do you go towards?
Right now, I have Gold Country. I'm up in Nevada City, or like county area of in Auburn. So I've been really immersing myself with like the Nevada City washers between like Gold Country and Mochi, and then Frosty obviously is one of my always go tos. But they're a little bit further away from me. So yeah, no, I'm really loving living up here in the foothills. There's some amazing washers up here, and I'm kind of having fun getting to know them. Yeah.
I can't wait to sample them, Danny, next time I see you. We're gonna I guess I do try to support the licensed market while also I smoke a lot of hash and have to buy bulk, so I shop in the traditional market as well. So on that side, I mean, there's brands like West Coast Alchemy that are great, Mendoza Farms. Shout out to my homies with their hash rosin company. But then on the license side, and like when I'm producing an event and I'm looking for sponsors or I want to bring the best hash brands together, I mean, top of mind, it's always, and I've got an event Sunday with these three brands. I'm so happy. 710 Labs, Heritage Hash Co., and Moon Valley Cannabis Co. And of course, Frosty. And then I'll give an honorable mention. Papa Select does some nice work. And
oh, Nature's Lab too. Nature's Lab is another one that I really like.
I actually never dabbed that, but of course I know Marcus, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
he's great. I spoke on a panel with him years ago, but I gotta find that. I didn't know that was in California shops. See, Danny's always
in LA mainly. If you find it in LA, but yeah, he's obviously he's all across like Florida and a bunch of other states doing cookies extraction.
Right on.
What have you got,
Right.
Emily?
Yeah, I want to hear Emily's fake brands.
I mostly go to like it's like, yeah, I mean, I try to support like as much as I can and like legal markets. Obviously there's always like giant brands that you'll never go wrong with. 710 is definitely one of them.
Right.
Heritage is another one. But there's also like these little small guys that will just have these like little like right now. So shout out to Richard over at Hans Colonial. He's a dry sift guy.
Oh,
And
nice.
man, he's one of the few people that I actually know that's still making like solid BHO. So like, I love that. I love that you have these like these growers that are now getting into it and they're like, well, what can I do besides just grow cannabis? Oh, maybe I'll try making my own concentrates with it. And I love to see that. That's like, and it's like I said, it's happening more and more. There's like these guys are just coming out of the woodwork. I find like more and more of them every year where they're just like suddenly like, hey, by the way, I'm doing this now. And it's like, oh, yay. Like that's always so exciting. Um,
For
but yeah, no, I mean, mostly there's a Haggard Extracts is another guy that I love. I love his, but again, these are all just like people that I know that have like I got a buddy, Chris, who gave all of his equipment over to this guy. So that's why he's back in the extract game. So you're going to start seeing his stuff probably all over the place again. And so that's super exciting. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I find that like it's really fun to go to events and start seeing these like guys that were just growing and now they're starting to actually get into like the extract side. That's so fun. I love that.
I just want to shout out 710 again. It's 710 Day, and last year 710 Labs had this cool event in West Hollywood. I believe it was at, I don't know if it was West Hollywood actually, but it was at Goat Global LA, and they invited everybody in the industry to come through. It was kind of like a house party, different activations in different rooms, and it was just really nice to get to know their team. They're really nice. So thanks 710 for being awesome and having great products.
Yeah.
Just want to talk about events. SF Hash Week, you've been posting about that. So just go off. Tell us what that's all about.
All right. Yeah. So today is the day it kicks off. It's the first ever San Francisco Hash Week, which is founded and put on by David Downs from Leafly, who did SF Weed Week. And it's with the concept of, like there's Fashion Week, Beer Week, Restaurant Week. So here in San Francisco, wanting to have a week like that, where it's a celebration of, one of our favorite agricultural, not just the crops, but the concentrate side of it. And so there's events all over the city. A lot of them are free. Honestly, most of them are free. Different lounges where then collaborations are being dropped, or special drops from brands, collabs from different brands. So farmers and hash maker brands. And there's like just different stuff every day. Today, I'll be at Mo Green's later. But I know like Mo Greens has stuff, Floor in the Castro has stuff. You can go on sfweedweek.com and see the full schedule of all the events, and which, like I said, are free. And then I'm actually participating in a few. I'm part of the Herb Som and Own a Life Canna Disco event Friday night in San Francisco at Shack 15. I'll be hoop dancing and have my whole Hashinista jewelry set up for sale, and then I am co-hosting / producing an event with the Herb Som Sunday. We're doing cocktails and concentrates brunch, and it's also become now cocktails, concentrates, and caviar brunch. And it's really cool because Jamie's latest book just launched, and so that's the cocktail side of it. I'm the constant because it's a High Times Cannabis cocktail book that she put out, and I'm the concentrate side as the Hashinista. So like I said, I curated the fabulous brands, and I'm so grateful for their sponsorship and participation. Again, shout out to we'll have 710 Labs, we'll have Heritage Hash Co., and also not Belle, but another woman, a female hash maker from the Heritage team will be on site, and they'll be showcasing their hash so people can, learn about it, talk, smell it, and of course taste it. And then Moon Valley Cannabis Co., who are definitely one of my other favorites out of Sonoma County, and so they'll be there again showcasing, and you can come and taste hash. And also, we have Uka is launching their collaboration with Cookies, their new rosin pods, and Uka's this tabletop hookah device, but for cannabis. And it's really freaking cool that they're launching at our event. And we'll also have PAX part of it. And yeah, it's just a great way where my vision was, experience concentrates in all the forms, from traditional torch rig to electronic rig to this Uka device to vapes through packs, and also showcasing our local, or at least Northern California top hash brands. And how could I forget to mention my girl, Sarah Jane, the hash sommelier, will also be there doing her queries. And so it's just like, yeah, it's going to be a beautiful event, and it's, put on by women, but all are welcome. But it's definitely, we want to create a space where more women can come, again, learn about and taste hash. And then, it's just going to be, that's Sunday 1 to 4. And like I said, we have caviar and a bunch of fabulous food as well, of course, because you got to have all that. And the vision on that was terroir focused food, and Also, because hash being the most delicacy of cannabis, that's why I wanted things like caviar and oysters, because again, we want to have the food to match. So sorry for the long-winded description, but thanks for letting me pop off and hype it. And then Tuesday night, I'm also, because Hash Week goes from today through next Wednesday, it's the full week. And so again, different events every day. So Tuesday night, I will be the host at Spark on Polk, where Wendy the Space Gem is doing a drop-in event as well. And so yeah, definitely go online, check out all the events. I hope to see local people out there. Danny, get to town.
I know. It's so hard. I barely come to the Bay anymore.
Come up.
I know. I feel like I'm either in the foothills or I'm on a plane.
I get it. I know.
Yeah. This is my first 2 weeks home after being on the road the entire month of June. So I'm enjoying it.
What do you have going on this week for 7/10? How are you celebrating the day? Do you have any upcoming events that you're excited for?
I'm just working, and honestly, I think this is going to be my first year where it's just going to be pretty lax, and I'm just getting ready to start traveling again. So, yeah, I like I said, this year's been I live on the road, so I'm enjoying a really quiet just local day with my family and dabs. And luckily I have a family that is very cannabis friendly too. So my cousins are coming by and we're going to celebrate that way. But nothing crazy this year.
That's fun.
Yeah. I'm going to have FOMO.
You are missed FOMO. Greatly. You know it.
I know. I miss everyone. I want to be there. I'm there in spirit. So.
You are.
I'm just no, I mean the plan every year for 420 or 710 is I honestly try to avoid I'm so lame. This is gonna sound so lame. I really try to avoid the giant events. For the most part. I'll go sometimes, I'll go every so often, but most of the time I have a handful of friends that we've gotten together. We usually either go for 420 we'll eat a bunch of weed edibles. For 710 we'll usually go somewhere where we can dab and just fucking hang out. So we're gonna go to the beach and get super high at the beach and day drink. That's the idea.
Enjoy,
yeah, I mean, I find that I feel 420 is stoner Christmas and 710 is stoner Thanksgiving. So I like to kind of get us together and you know what I mean? It's this. I'm that's when we get together and we do a bunch of dabs and we we don't go as crazy as 420. I don't know. 420 will always just be the OG. You know what I mean? But yeah, for 710, I like to keep it a little more lax. Yeah, like I said, I mean, there's a few events that I don't know. It's always fun to show face, but for the most part, I'm either in a lab or just trying not to trying to de-stress. That's pretty much it. I mean, that's pretty much it. Like I said.
I'm probably going to go out to Hollywood. Pleasure Med Lounge is having an event there tonight, so I want to go check it out. And yeah, I've been loving that spot. It's really chic and beautiful at the Pleasure Med, so I want to go have a nice Wednesday evening there. Nice. But oh my gosh, you guys, thank you for holding it down. I know these panel ones get tricky for me and my internet connection. I thought I have good internet. I might need to see what's up, but I appreciate all of you guys for holding it down. I appreciate you guys making time to be here and discuss concentrates and dabs. I think we've been pretty darn informative and with the best. Thank you so much. Where can we follow you, Elise, and keep staying tuned into whatever you have going on?
Sure. You can follow me at the Hashinista, and it's Hashinista, and everything should be there. Find me through there. Yeah. And well, I should, if I can, come see me tonight at Mo Green's, Friday night at Shack 15, Sunday brunch secret location, but you can get the link in my bio at the Hashinista on Instagram.
Thank you.
I love to hear from people. DM me anytime and say what's up. I really love connecting, and especially people who try to send me hash. I love you ladies, and thank you so much for creating this space for us to talk. And I've really enjoyed this conversation so much. It's been really awesome. So Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you, Shelbie.
How do we follow you, Danny?
You can hit me up at Dabbing for Wellness on Instagram.
Hell yeah. Emily, how about you?
Oh, my Instagram name is fun. It's the Extraction Ninja Witch.
I love it.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, you can follow, you can see all the stuff I do. I also teach courses all around the SoCal area at different dispensaries, like an introduction to concentrates course. So if you've ever been like, what is every single concentrate and how's it made? I teach that course. I also teach you how to make hash at home course at different dispensaries and around SoCal.
Nice.
So, yeah, I'm all about like the education thing about it. So like, that's what my Instagram's all about. And that's kind of the part I love. I love making it accessible. Making it as accessible as possible to other people, because I want to say the moment you pull out a torch to somebody that's never done a dab, they will immediately be like, okay, I'm out. So, you know what I mean? So I try to like make it as like approachable as possible. And yeah, that's kind of my whole bag anyway.
Thank you so much. And once again, everybody, dab safely today. Don't burn yourself. Try to do electronic if possible, or whatever your method, just keep it safe. We don't need fires in the summer. But follow respectmyregion.usa, respectmyregion.360, respectmyregion.420. Happy 710. Have a lovely day. Talk to you guys later.
Yay,
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And